I think that a lot of viewers would like to have some more hands-on examples of how to utilize the book in the daily operation. Could you give me an example of how to do exactly that?
Absolutely. So in one organization where we are facing the fact that they are growing through acquisitions, and they are a global company, they are facing a very fragmented way of operating. At the same time, they have an intention of arriving at efficiency and stability in their demand planning in order to arrive at efficiency and stability in the way that they operate the supply chain. You've got a lot of different entities from all over the world with a lot of ownership mentality that you need to mobilize into running uniform processes that are mature, that are disciplined in execution, and where they are exercising shared leadership across boundaries when they're used to coming from autonomous operation in their own part of the hood, being independent companies. So the way of working with that was to get people together, explain them the intention, which they knew, but then mobilize them in interpreting that on what is it that it requires in our context. Which part of the contextual framework do we need to address in order to start molding, shaping, and changing the mindsets and ways of working across our organization? We did that with the top leadership layers, 95 leaders across the organization, got them together 2 times in order to drive in, get the framework under their skin, go home, do the diagnosis, get that back, and then agree on these are the key levers. And then we started working on what processes are driving so much value that we want to formalize them. How do I involve my people in interpreting? What does that require from us? Where do we need to change our mindsets? Where do we need to work with more discipline, with less autonomy in these parts, but without losing the ingenuity, the continuous learning, the improvement, and all of that craftsmanship that is actually also driving value. So how do we balance that? And after having done that with those top 95 leaders, they went into the organization. And over the course of 18 months, they worked with those selected few contextual factors and selected few tools of saying, how do we actually change that, involving the people again and again. Another driver of this was to pinpoint the boundary crossings in all those value creating processes, and then saying these two are the owners on each side of that boundary, in supply chain, in marketing, in the manufacturing sites, and then say you need to get together and do the same. And thereby we drove ownership of the alignment. So we embedded the alignment by creating it through leadership interventions in the organization. And they are now in a much better place with a lot of repeatability, a lot of ownership on shared processes because they created it together. Sometimes slower is faster because you make it work. You can't impose that on an organization. That's that deeply rooted in a strong ownership culture.